Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with, I'm going through boxes. Oh my God, so many boxes. Michal Corboz on Erato. Now, this is the first of two boxes of Michal Corboz. Let's see, we get the complete Erato recordings, Baroque and Renaissance eras. And then we're getting the classical and romantic eras, coming very shortly, actually. This sort of surprised me when it came out that this was all collected. First of all, because he's done so much. I mean, he's always been a presence. He's not been much of a name in the United States. Much, much more popular in Europe. And of course, because he recorded for Erato primarily, that was the label in France, where we all knew who he was, or in France, where they all knew who he was. Michal Corboz is a very fine choral music conductor. I mean, that's really what he does. And like many choral music conductors, I did a video about this, there's a question about how successful these guys are when they turn to other things, or when they get into the Romantic era, where it's just as important to have a really good dynamic orchestral presence. And he's typical of his type. He's not the most dynamic orchestral conductor, but his career has been very, very well managed. One of the reasons perhaps he's not as well known is because he doesn't do big, flashy, like non-choral things. He's stuck to his Fach, to what he does really well. And the consistent level of quality and excellence in his work is extremely telling. I mean, he's really, really good. Now, there are, this is the problem, 74 CDs, not counting the other box that's coming. It's a little smaller. But that's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of CDs. And the problem is with this choral music is that however nicely done, and it's very nicely done, there are going to be favorite recordings of all of the same stuff done by other people. And so, again, it's always up to you whether you want to invest in these sort of mega box productions. It's a beautiful, beautiful collection of material. And there is quite a bit of stuff here that you're not going to find readily elsewhere, and which is done about as well as it can be. So let's go through it. Are you ready? Oh, my God. I like these boxes that have sort of the sideways entrance, they go like this instead of like that, and fall off and fall on your floor and, make a hole in your living room or whatever. But let's see what we got here. Okay, 74 CDs. First, we have the little booklet about Michal Corboz, naturally. And then we've got, they do give you a composer listing. There he is. The index of works. So here we have an index of works, which is really good. And, oh my gosh. So much stuff. So much stuff. And I feel guilty, like I said. I feel guilty going through these things, actually, because, you have to listen to it once you own it. These are all original jackets. And, Erato, for so many years in the U.S., was an import label. You couldn't get it. And so these recordings were rarities here, especially in the early music field. And they were exciting. They were exciting for that reason, if you could get your hands on them. But now, of course, they're part of the huge conglomerate and nobody cares. Okay. All right, you ready? We begin with this. The Ensemble Vocal de Lausanne, with like various people, Gregorian chant stuff. They have Gregorian chant stuff. Okay, Monteverdi, the four-voice mass a cappella, which is quite lovely. And then we have Marco Antonio Ingegneri, I don't know how you pronounce that, who lived from 1535 to 1592. We've got some motets, a bunch of motets. Now, when was the last time you heard his stuff? Monteverdi was sort of a specialty of Corboz. He did quite a bit of it, as you're going to see, and some repeats of things too, which is like, oh God, more of the same. But he did it, and he did it very, very beautifully, but not in the latest period style. which I don't care about because, bottom line is when you're dealing with these vocal pieces, what really determines what you ought to do ought to be the qualities of the human voice. And the qualities of the human voice and the qualities of the human voice in choral singing have remained much the same since the dawn of the human voice. And so I'm really not worried about whether or not your notes are inegal. You know what I mean? Anyway, then we have Alessandro Scarlatti, the bunch of motets, and the Missa ad usum Capellae Pontificiae. Yeah. I mean, very nice. Very good. What are you going to say? I mean, this is the problem. There's not a lot of stuff to compare it to. It's just really good choral singing. All right. His first recording, there were two at least, of the Monteverdi Vespers. And now this is with like all kinds of people you'd never heard of. It does have huge Quinault and Philippe Huttenlocher, who he did that wonderful Orfeo with Harnoncourt, and people like that. So yeah, there's some people here who are some Eric Tappy. Yeah, these guys are known, and it's a lovely performance. So the question is, do you get all of this? So you get the Magnificat, yes, the 7 voice and 6 instruments Magnificat. And Gloria Patri, yes, there's the whole thing there. And you get the 6 voice Magnificat. So you get both of them. And that's always nice to have, You don't get the Missa in Illo Tempore that often comes with this. But that's okay. So this was, in its day, a really very fine and very stylish Monteverdi Vespers. But do we still care now that there are a million other Monteverdi Vespers? Well, this is one of those situations, and I want to say this right up front, where you really have to consider the guy's work as a whole. There will always be individual performances of individual works where there is competition that you may prefer or that you could say are better. But what we're talking about is a body of work of genuinely extremely high quality. And there's so much more to be said about it than that. That's what it is. So we've got, the Monteverdi Selva Morale. Oh, this is so much fun. In 8 volumes. My God. Just look at here it all. Here it all is. Now, these are absolutely lovely performances. This is how I learned the Selva Morale, was from this set. The tempi are very slow compared to what more modern performances do of this stuff. They tend to be more flashy, and of course they work with often smaller forces in the chorus. And so this may sound a little bit anachronistic, but again, the singing is just beautiful. And there's absolutely no evidence whatsoever, none, zero, that modern period tempi are actually closer to what tempi were in the period. None, zero. We have no idea how quickly or slowly it might have been done. Probably it was both. Sometimes they did it very quickly and sometimes they did it very slowly, depending on who was singing and how they felt and the day and all that stuff. The idea that there's a rule that this is how it's going to go, bullshit. There go the cats. And a little whirlwind going by there. Okay, so we got all that Monteverdi stuff. That's good. It gets rid of a pile. And then we've got his first Orfeo. Now, there's a couple of these, too. Let's see. We have Eric Tappy and Migali Schwartz is Eurydice, and it's a good cast. And and Philip Huttenlocher's in here, too. He's spirit number 75 or something like that. And, the Edward H. Tarr Brass Ensemble and the Ensemble Vocal and Instrumental de Lausanne under Michal Corboz. Beautiful. It's beautiful. It's lovely. It's certainly, one of the earlier Orfeos that, they attempt to be more or less, consistent with the actual idiom of the day. I mean, they do it and as they understood it, and that's fine, because how they understood it isn't necessarily better than how we understand it now. It's the morning hunt. My 2 little kittens are going after each other like little beasts. Okay. Oh, here we are. La chanson et la danse in Paris to around 1540. Okay. And there's a lot here. I can't even begin to tell you how much stuff is here. This is delightful stuff. delightful popular music, if you want to call it that. It's got all kinds of songs and dances. What can I tell you? They sing, they dance, they make merry, they laugh, they cried. It became a part of me. Anyway, then we've got the Chanson de Lausanne, which is like sort of the same thing with lots of La Chanson de Lausanne. It's like a group of like madrigalists, is what they kind of are, by all these different people. Let's see, music and text by Emile Jacques Dalcroze. Well, that's pretty recent. That's not like old at all. And you've got traditional songs, and this is sort of a local production. It's quite cute. It's kind of adorable. Oh my goodness. Gove de Mel. There's someone you probably don't know. Claude Goudemel. Oh, it's Goudemel, but it's spelled like with the old, the VU thing. Like they did back in the day, it's Goudemel. A bunch of psalms in French, which is quite lovely. And then the Mass Le Bien que j'ai. Well, there you are with the Maîtrise de Saint-Pierre au Lien de Boule and Ensemble Vocal de Lausanne. Interesting, lovely work. He lived from 1520 to 1572. If you like that style, you're gonna like this. It's really pretty straightforward. Oh, Michel Richard de Lalande. Isn't he fun? His De Profundis, Psalm 129, a grand motet for soli, chorus, and orchestra, and his Regina Celli, a lovely disc. I remember getting this. in its individual disc form, and I thought it was really, really beautiful. De Lalande was, 1657 to 1726. Yeah, he's a French Baroque guy, in the Lully Charpentier mode, and it's quite beautiful. It really is. Then we've got Venice before Monteverdi, I dolci frutti, meaning the sweet fruit. Here we have I dolci frutti. We've got Gabriele, Parabosco, D'incerto, Donato, Correggio, Claudio Marullo da Correggio. Yeah. And who's this guy? Guami and Bellavere and Zarlino and like all these people you've never heard of. Padovano. It's a 2-disc set of all kinds of cool early instrumental and choral music, and it's really, really terrific. I love this stuff. I just love this music from Venice. The Gabriellis and all those people. And this is a beautiful and enterprising collection of it. See, it's the choice of the repertoire that's as interesting as the actual performances. Finster. Mildred. Okay. Then we've got Gabrielli. Sacred Symphonies. Oh, God, yes. You got to have Gabrielli. These are beautiful, beautiful performances. A couple discs as nice as you'll ever hear them done. And, it is so, so, so beautiful. I just get chills when I listen to Gabrielli. All that rich polychoral stuff. And, it's gorgeous. Okay, the Bach Magnificat. Well, we're into Bach. And the Cantata, Es wartet alles auf dich. So let's see. We've got the Magnificat, and this it's with Wally Stempfli and Yvonne Perrin and Migali Schwartz and Claudine Perret and Philip Hutenlocher is the bass and everything in here. His Bach is really good. It's fresh, it's lively, it's smart, it's contrapuntally clear, it's very nicely sung. You're gonna have your favorite Bach. It's that simple. My colleague David Vernier reviewed, I think, his Christmas oratorio. With Corboz at ClassicsToday.com, and he had basically the same thing to say. It's really good. It may not be the greatest. You'll have your view of the greatest, but it's really good. It's really good. The B minor Mass. We have the Bach B minor Mass. Wow, yeah, with all the same people, and the same comments apply. We don't need to go into it in like crazy depth here. Carissimi, cantatas. I've always said that Carissimi's cantatas sort of bore me. But a bunch of you came back and said, no, they're beautiful. Well, they are beautiful. I grant you that. I just don't come home from a busy day at the office and say, I feel like Carissimi cantatas. That's me. So we've got Jephthah. They're short. That's the good thing about them, I think. And then 3 motets. But he was like the oratorio. They're oratorios, actually, aren't they? Yes, they're called oratorios, not cantatas. But he was the oratorio guy, and they're important works. They date from, let's see, 1605 to 1674. An interesting period, actually, as the Baroque was sort of getting underway. So we've got Jephthah, and then we've got Ezechias, and Abraham and Isaac, and his 8-voice mass, which only has 3 tiny little movements, a Kyrie, a Gloria, and a Credo. And it's all a bunch of things. So that's Carissimi. And Charpentier, the Messe pour les Trespass. Yep, there it is. Here it is, which has all kinds of cool stuff. Charpentier was a great composer. So as we know, we have Motet pour les Trespass and the other Messe pour les Trespass, the conclusion. It's got the thing with, and then the Misère des Jésuites. Miserere, not misère. The Jesuits may have been miserable, but they're singing a miserere. Of the Jesuits. So you've got all this Charpentier stuff, which is really cool. All right. I like his Charpentier, by the way. It has a certain richness. I forget which period instrument group in New York a few years back, trying to do a Charpentier mass, and they did it with like 3 people and a tiny little portative organ that, they pushed one note at a time. I walked out. I mean, it was austere to the point of death. And, it's nice that they can do it, but, you've got to have a certain amount of, I don't care what it is. It's French. It's got to have a certain sexiness to the sound. It can't sound like horrible, cold, icy, Lutheran, Nordic, stripped down. I just think it's wrong. I really do. There's always a beauty and sensuality to French choral writing and French liturgical music, and you got to have it. He has it. Corboz has it. Okay, the Bach Missa Brevises, Missa Breve, all 4 of them with a few other isolated movements, which are lovely to have. Then we have Chansons et Madrigaux de la Renaissance. We've got madrigals and things by Giovanni Bassano. Good Lord. Partly. And then, let's see, Clemens non Papa and other people. Okay, that's nice. See, it's interesting. Stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. Benedetto Marcello, 7 Psalms for soli, chori, and orchestri. Solo, chorus, and orchestra. So here's, yes, here they are. They're all here. So you get 7 Psalms, which are really quite beautiful. He was 1686 to 1739. Marcello was really a famous guy in his day. And no one pays attention to him now. So here you've got his 7 Psalms, which is very nice to have. And you won't find him anywhere else that easily or readily. Monteverdi, the most beautiful madrigals, the Lament of the Nymph, and Orchecel la Terra, and Tirsi and Clori, and Si Dolci il Tormento. 2 discs of Monteverdi madrigals, the most gorgeous madrigals, according to someone or other. And they are gorgeous, by the way. Marie-Jo Pires. Well, that's somebody who's not dead. Interpreting J.S. Bach, 3 piano concertos. Well, that's nice to have, isn't it? It really is. It's with the Gulbenkian Foundation of Lisbon Orchestra. So he's conducting, she's playing, she leads. He conducts quite well. It's not a lot of work to do the Bach piano concertos, let's face it. Okay, Vivaldi's Sacred Music, Volume 1. The Gloria, the Kyrie, the Credo. Oh, don't we love the Gloria? I sang it. In high school. I mean, Domine fili unigenite, yay, hey, 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 yay, hey, 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 yay, hey, 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 Jesu Christe. Well, we didn't really do it that way, but gosh, it's fun to sing. It's just so jolly and delightful. Okay, more Monteverdi, beautiful madrigals from books 3, 4, and 5. He didn't do all the Monteverdi madrigals, but you got a lot of them. Luciano Scrizzi interprets J.C. Bach. 4 piano concertos by J.C. Bach. J.C. Bach was one of the pioneers in piano concertos. These are tiny little concerti of, well, they're actually like 10 minutes long. They're not so short, but they're 2 movements each most of them quick, an allegretto and a minuet, an allegro and a minuet, an allegro and another allegro, an allegro and a rondo. I mean, that's sort of what they are. No slow movements. It's the Rococo period, which was supposed to be light and fluffy and expressively sort of shallow. Well, these are light and fluffy and expressively sort of shallow, so they fill the bill. They're nicely done. And it's on a Newport pianoforte, which is supposedly some sort of close to period something or other. Vivaldi, Sacred Music 2. Let's see, Beatus Vir, Nole in Mundo, Pax Sincera, Lauda Jerusalem. That's such a great psalm thing, or whatever it is. Then we've got Vivaldi, Magnificat, Beatus Vir, Dixit Dominus, and O Quell something, Terraque Serenitas. Oh, remind me. It's Vivaldi. It's lovely, right? It's beautiful sacred music. Underrated. So we've got, how many Dixit Dominuses did he do? Yeah, he did a whole pile of them, didn't he? It's such a great text. It's all about death and destruction and slaughter and murder. And it's wonderful. Okay, Charpentier, the Te Deum. A great work, one of the great French Baroque works, and some other things, some other motets, and they're just lovely. It's great stuff. So that's nice to have. And we have Vivaldi, more sacred music, the Dixit Dominus for double choir, chorus, and the Stabat Mater, J.S. Bach, his funeral ode in Deutsch. Lass Fürsten, lass noch einen Strahl, die Trauerode. Yeah. And the cantata, Tomata. Ach Gott, wie manches Herzeleid. Yeah, there's just so much heartbreak everywhere. Life is so bloody miserable. That's the summary of the Bach cantatas, most of them anyway. Let's see, what's this? Oh, this was with the funeral ode, 3 cantatas. Well, here are the other cantatas. It's Jesu, der du meine Seele, and Lobet Gott in seinem Reichen, the Ascension Oratorio, also known as. Again, it's like nothing not to like. You'll have others you may like better. I don't really have others I like better. I mean, this is just good singing and good playing, and really good. Okay, the St. John Passion. Here we go. We're getting to the heavy stuff with Felicity Palmer, Birgit Finele, Kurt Equilus, Werner Krenn, Philipp Hutenlacher, Ruud Vandermeer. I mean, a very, very good cast and a very beautiful performance of the St. John. The Vivaldi Gloria, again. Well, there's another one. Remember, there's like 2 of them, but they use some of the same music. They're kind of interchangeable. And Nisi Dominus. Helen Watts is in that one. Oh, look at that. Yeah, Jennifer Smith. Some major singers there. Charpentier, The Last Judgment, and his Beatus Vir. So here it is, the oratorio, The Last Judgment. One of these things about these sort of earlier Baroque oratorios is that they're short. We're not talking about three hour-long megatorios. They're like 25 minutes, 20 minutes, the whole oratorio. And the Beatus Vir, which is this great piece, absolutely great piece. The Last Judgment's not bad either, but the topic sort of doesn't do it for me. Monteverdi, the most beautiful madrigals from volumes 6, 7, and 8, books 6, 7, and 8. So you get, let's see, Il Ballo and Il Ballo delle Ingrate and the Combattimento di Tancredi e Clorinda. Oh, I love that. My God, that's a great piece. That's the piece that invented the tremolo. I mean, it's so wonderfully illustrative. Bach, Mass in B minor and Magnificat, because we didn't get enough of it the first times. And with Rachel Yakar, Jennifer Smith, Birgit Finele, Anthony Rolfe Johnson, Philipp Hutenlacher, Joseph Van Dam, wonderful singers. As he got more into the mainstream in terms of performer-wise, he got bigger name soloists. Doesn't mean they're better. It really doesn't, but he got more named people. They started promoting him better, the label did, so they spent a little more money on these productions. Cavalli, oh yeah, The School of Lovers, Hercules in Love, The School of Lovers. I was like, École, I was reading it in French. No, it's Ercole Amante, Hercules in Love, something like that. Yes, it's a tragedy composed for the marriage of Louis XIV and Maria Theresa of Austria. Well, there you go. I mean, look at that. And it's a tragedy for their wedding. How nice. You've got Felicity Palmer, Colette Aliot-Lugaz, Yvonne Minton, Patricia Miller. I mean, major cast. Keith Lewis. Let's see, anyone else we know? Martin Hill Smith. What's that? No, Marilyn Hill Smith, not Martin. Never mind. She's a soprano. Boy, and it's three really long, well, 350 some odd minute CDs. Cavalli is like, 1602 to 1676. He wrote a bunch of operas. Performance of them is rather conjectural in terms of like scoring and whatnot, but that's a major production there. That thing. All right, last handful. Handel, Overture and Dances from Rodrigo and Il Pastor Fido. Well, this is where there's like a lot of ballet music. And they're delightful pieces. God knows where Handel stole them from, but they're really charming. Charpentier, his tragedy in 5 acts, David and Jonathan. David and Jonatas, with Colette Aliot-Lugaz, Paul Eswood, René Jacob, remember him? So now we're getting into countertenordom. What a pity. I mean, René Jacob was never a good singer. Never, ever, unfortunately. And Paul Eswood, well, he was not my cup of tea either. We have so many better countertenors these days. Let's not kid ourselves. All right, another Monteverdi Vespers. This is the one I knew because the earlier one was like deleted. I didn't even know until that he did an earlier one, and so until I like heard this stuff. I really didn't know it at all. I knew this one. I mean, the earlier one's really good. This is really good too. So what the heck? You need 2 of them, along with the other dozen you may have. There you go. Okay, Bach, the St. Matthew. Heavy duty stuff. Kurt Equeluz, Gerhard Faustisch, Philipp Huttenlocher, Margaret Marshall, Carolyn Watkinson, Anthony Rolfe Johnson. Major people. Very, very good people. It's a very good St. Matt. It's actually, let's see, how long does it take? Yeah, it's almost period instrumenty. It's just under 3 hours. About 10 minutes less than 3 hours, or 8 minutes less. That's zippy by St. Matthew Passion standards. So there you go. Bach, Christmas Oratorio. 1, 2, 3 discs. There we go. 2 discs. 2 discs. Kurt Equeluz, Barbara Schlick, Carolyn Watkinson. Wonderfully sung. This is the performance that my colleague David Vernier reviewed on ClassicsToday.com, and he said what I said, and I said what he said. It's really, really good. You may have a favorite. It's not quite at the toppest echelon if you have to pick a toppest echelon, but you're not going to complain. Another Monteverdi, Orfeo, with Audrey Michael, Carolyn Watkinson, Gino Quilico, and Eric Tappy. Here they are. So if you didn't like the first one, you can always try again with the second one. I love Orfeo. I don't care how many versions of it there are, how many people do it. I collect them all. It's like the first opera, the first real honest-to-goodness opera that we know how to perform it, with the right instruments and whatnot. It's totally great. Totally great. Purcell, Dido and Aeneas with Teresa Berganza, Per Arne Wahlgren, Danielle Borst, Françoise Destember. The sorceress is Glynis Linos. Yeah. First witch, second witch, lots of witches. And it's nobody's favorite Dido and Aeneas, I think, since there are so many authentic ones now and so many like real English ones by real English people. But still, it's wonderful that he did it. Music's the music. Okay, the Handel Mozart version of Messiah. I despise Mozart's Handel arrangements. Completely despise. They're horrible. They destroy Handel's balance of tone and timbre. They completely wreck his orchestration, of course, and they make it loses all of its edge, all of its freshness. And these are these sort of namby-pamby. Oh, that was a terrible mistake. It was Mozart's darkest moment. So there it is, if you want it. I mean, it's got some very good singing. Yard Van Ness is in here, Audrey Michael, Hans-Peter Blochwitz, but I don't care. No, I don't. And then finally, Bach, B minor Mass, Magnificat. Well, this says B minor Mass and Magnificat. This is only the B minor Mass parts of it. The cover here says B minor Mass. And where did Magnificat come from? Was I hallucinating? No, it's just the B minor Mass. Again, the last one. Okay, fine. To disc 74 with Sandrine Piau, Bernarda Fink, Marcus Schaefer, Marcos Fink, and the Lausanne people. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. First rate. Lovely. There you go. 74 CDs of unbelievably good, for the most part, choral singing, nice recordings. I mean, a marvelous career, an estimable artist, a really good guy at what he did. And so, can I get these in the box? There we go. They're in the box, right? You can take it, and you'll enjoy it, and you'll have a collection of really fine choral music. It's less interesting, as I've said, for the famous works, just because there's so many other recordings of them. It's marvelous for the stuff you can't get anywhere else. You're not going to have any really weak performances, I don't think. I mean, not that I would be qualified to say. Let's be honest. I mean, who knows about, some of these people, engineering and would I know that it's not the best performance of his stuff? No, I would not. But I do know good choral singing when I hear it. I know good choral conducting when I hear it. I know, as Tovey once said, I know what bores me. And Michel Corboz does not bore me. He's a fine, fine artist. So it's a very good box. And what do you expect me to say? That Erato spent like most of their money and career making 74 discs of crap? I mean, no. That only happened with like Roger Norrington, Simon Rattle, and people like that. Not with Michel Corboz. So keep on listening, friends. Thank you for joining me, and take care.